What's going on with demand? What kind of picture do you see in front of you? What are the biggest factors affecting demand right now?
Look, at the moment we're looking at a very strong summer, also a very strong winter. Come to that, we've had a very good year. 23-24, we finished that in March, and we're ahead of where we were this time last year. So demand remains very strong in all the segments, and those new segments I've often talked about that have come to market post-COVID within the old segments are quite interesting, whether that be leisure, the premium cabins being filled with a combination not just of business but everything else, at prices that we would never have thought would have been, we could sustain at the levels that they have been for so long. And it seems that the more production we put into our markets, we start Bogota tomorrow via Miami, and we're seeing very, very strong for everything that we do. So at the moment we are, despite the geopolitics of the planet, the troubled world we're in, we've got an Indian election, a Mexican election, the UK election coming up, we've got the American election coming up. Ordinarily, when these things happen, you see demand starting to fall off a little bit. People tend to stay at home, whatever. It seems the reverse is happening. Everybody wants to get on aeroplanes and enjoy. Maybe it was a result of the COVID.
So the consumer's still in good shape?
Very good, very good.
And you say business is coming back. That's something that's happening more slowly, but it continues to happen.
No, it's coming back at pace. Surprising, but we all said that, Guy. We never believed that business would diminish in perpetuity. There were those who saw a paradigm change the way business was conducted that would remove the need for air travel, etc. We never shared that view. We know what happens when people go and do business, and the more the global economy continues to expand, right? Not perhaps at the rate it was in the 90s or before the global crash, but you're seeing GDP ticking up in a number of areas, particularly in this part of the world. Don't forget, you've got a massive investment program in Saudi Arabia, a lot going on in the United Arab Emirates and the Middle East in general, notwithstanding some of the issues that are going on at the moment. So all this is making demand in the business segments very robust. And of course, Dubai itself is growing at pace. And we're at 6.2 million people here now, and my own forecast is that by the early 30s will be at 15 million here. So that in itself generates an enormous demand, passenger segment demand, on an annualised basis.
So no plateauing of demand right now?
No, not that we can see. None whatsoever.
That makes you a very valuable airline. So let's talk about what is happening in the region as well. It looks like Etihad is going to be the first major carrier in the Gulf to go for an IPO. Is Dnata, potentially your services business, the next logical step?
I don't know, Guy. I mean, look, it's a government call, it's a shareholder call. They must do what these kind of decisions, possibilities, they've faced for a long time.
Yep.
And it is true that they have fleshed out the boards with quite a few IPOs in the last 3-5 years, and you see many of those have been very successful. Whether or not they cross the line and go into the aviation sector, as far as the Emirates Group is concerned, it's their call. Dnata is part of the aviation, the Emirates Group sector.
Would it be ready?
Look, to get into public listed status, you've got to do a lot of things in your internal systems, your processes, to comply with the SEC, the central bank requirements and everything else. So we would probably, whichever entity it was, if it was going to happen, don't be guided by me saying that this is what we would have to do, but you'd probably need about a year or so to get your company processes in line with what would be required by the... and that's all doable.
But the logical step would be to do it in sections within the business. Would Dnata be a good place to start?
I don't know. It's not going to be my call on that one. The group is primarily it's the airline.
Yep.
And of course, Dnata is a very big operation. There's Emirates Flight Catering. There are multiple other bits and pieces that could be done. But again, don't be misled by what I'm saying in the sense that is this going to lead to an IPO? It's not our call. As I've said many, many times, I'm a manager of a business. I will do what the shareholder wants. The And that hasn't changed.
Yep. Do you think it could be an opportunity for your successor?
Anything's possible. I don't know. Look, the company's in good shape. It has a very strong balance sheet. It's got a very profitable operation. Everything's working in a manner that we would never have contemplated post whatever happened 3 or 4 years ago. The business model is strong. The operating model is strong. The demand remains good. Our product and our brand remain very strong, very ubiquitous internationally. It's a brand of quality, of reliability, of trust.
Yep.
And all those ingredients are basically the fundamentals of a good, strong operation. Now, what the shareholder does, the government, with that, it's up to the shareholder.
If you were to advise the shareholder, what advice would you give them?
I would say the temptations are there. Okay. The airline has, and the aviation sector has done enormous things for this city. You know, it's underpinned a lot of things that have gone on that the current ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, has wanted and driven, as you know. He's a man who single-handedly built this place to what it is today. And he understood that the ingredients of getting that job done, part of that was the aviation sector. Not all, by any stretch of the imagination. It's not a question of it ain't broke, why fix it? But there is a bit of that. Do you need to do this?
Yeah.
You must ask yourself that. And if you do need to do it, what are those reasons? You must ask yourself that. That's not for me as a manager of the business to answer those. It's something they will ask. But it is working very well. It's very strong for Dubai, continues to be very strong for Dubai. And the way where we develop the airline over the next 15 years, already mapped very closely. We see more value being added to what Dubai wants to do in the future. So, do you want to change that or not? It's up to you.
I guess the question is, do you see financial markets as being the next big step? And Emirates would be?
Look, I mean, the temptations are there, of course they are. But, again, there are a lot of other issues out there. This is vital to what the city needs. Without it, it's going to be very difficult. So you've got to make sure that everything is doing what you want it to do. If you introduce other forces at play, things could be a little bit different.
Riyadh Air are obviously on the hunt for staff. Is that going to raise your costs? We understand that they're poaching staff at significantly more elevated salaries.
Look, have we faced this before? We had it with our friends in Abu Dhabi, we had it with our friends in Qatar. Whenever they started, all those years ago, the first port of call was to the stable, the Emirates stable.
Yep.
And obviously, if they're going to pull people out, they've got to offer higher salaries. We've just got to live with that. We're not going to start saying, you're not going to do that, or it's up to them. It's a free market, and Labour will go where Labour goes. We're hoping that the longevity of the career prospects within the Emirates Group, demonstrated by the 38, 39 years we've been flying, will persuade staff either to join us or not leave. But it's their call in the end.
Two key staff spring to mind when we think about your staffing roster, and that is your two deputy presidents. Are one of those two ultimately going to be your successor?
Again, not my call, Guy. All I'm trying to do is put.
But are you grooming them for that? Are you getting them ready for that job?
Giving them more work on the top table, so that what the government has is a platform of quality, of talent, of experience. So that if anyone drops out, it could be one of them, could be me, for reasons of health or whatever else, the business continues along the plans that have been set out for them.
Yep.
All these people are capable of doing that. Whether the government and the chairman of the company, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Maktoum, decides to do one or the other or keep things as they are, it's up to him. All I'm trying to do is make sure that the succession and the ability to deliver a very, very bold and brave plan going forward over the next 15 years is in the right hands. Then it's up to them.
The last time I was here in Dubai was for the air show. We were all very much focused on a potentially substantial order coming from Emirates for the A350. The issue seemed to be with the Rolls-Royce engines, the XWB Trent. Since then, we've seen Rolls-Royce announcing it's going to invest significant amounts of money into that program. Are you now satisfied that that program is capable of delivering?
Well, we don't know that guy. All we're saying is that the head of Rolls-Royce says, I'm going to put an awful lot of money to fix the problems that are peculiar not just to us, but a lot of the carriers in the region. He has to do that, otherwise Airbus won't be able to sell what is their largest twin, the largest aircraft in their stable. So it was, I think, obviously pressure from within Rolls-Royce and from Airbus to get this sorted out.
And from you, probably.
Well, yes. People like us were bailing out. We had, if you remember, we had an order of 35 ready to go, but they couldn't step up and give us what we needed on the engine. Well, that's no good for us at all. Since then, there has been a lot of soul searching in Rolls, a lot of capital being invested into dealing with the problem of this particular engine. Well, we'll see. Now, will that be available in 27, 28, 29, 30? I don't know. But we've said to them, look, we're right behind you. We want this engine done. It's a great aeroplane. But when you've got it somewhere where you can actually put your hand on your heart and say, it's good.
We're not there yet. What you're saying is we don't think they're there yet.
I'm not sure they're in a position to do that at the moment.
Right, okay.
They've got the number of cycles that we need on wing before engine shop visit, and they're working on that. So I think Tufan is very focused on getting it right, and it's absolutely critical for the well-being of Rolls-Royce, given that this is the biggest aircraft that Airbus offer. The 350-900 engine, the 900, is working well. It's working well. The 1000 is a different engine. It has a different core, and therefore it's challenged given what it has.
Others are ordering the aircraft, though.
Of course.
And do you not worry that you will end up, if you wait too long, that you will end up seeing your slots being pushed too far?
No, we will not buy an aeroplane where the engine is not fit for our operation. It might be working perfectly in temperate climates where the takeoff weights are a lot reduced. We operate in very difficult conditions, and our takeoff weights are always high. We're always max takeoff weight. Don't forget, this aircraft is designed to do Project Sunrise. Sydney, London. Now, you're flying these aircraft for 21, 22 hours, so the takeoff weight and the pressure on the engine has really got to be immense, and therefore whereas it might work in the temperate climates, where you haven't got 42, 44 centigrade in the day of the summer with high dust and low altitude, we're about 600 foot low pressure altitude here. You may not see that in London, you may not see that in Frankfurt, you may not see that maybe in Sydney. But for us it was clear that the engine's life was reduced by 75% from shop, the original. So we went from 2,000 cycles minimum to 500, actually less. So there was no way we could buy that because the shop visit on a Trent 1000 is enormous. The cost of doing it.
We are seeing a lack of availability of aircraft. You're being impacted that across the piece. How much are you now spending on the 380 retrofit program?
The combination, of the 777 retrofit and the 380s was running at $2 billion for the... Now I've put more 777s in because we still don't have visibility of what's happening in Boeing. So we're pushing $2.5–3 billion now to do all of these aeroplanes. And I don't mean a cosmetic change. I mean, we're going after the guts of these aircraft and renewing them, rebuilding. So if you look at a 777, it probably costs you about $20 million to do the interior. The 380 is probably another 10 on that. If we start doing the things that we need to do with regard to Wi-Fi connectivity, when we're looking at the galleys and all the other and televisions, etc., the systems that are coming along, this makes it a very expensive operation. But in the end, in the absence of getting the modern aircraft out of the door at the pace that we want them to, we've got to make the modifications to the fleet, particularly in the customer-facing areas, seats, galleys, televisions, etc., and make these airplanes last longer. And we know they can. And it's not going to be a problem with the ER, and I don't think it'll be a problem with the 380.
Boeing just put forward its program to try and get itself back on track. Does it go far enough for you? What do you think of that program? What do you think the next CEO of this business needs to look like in terms of the kind of characteristics they bring to the table?
I'm not aware of Boeing have come up with multiple programs over the last 3, 5, 10 years about what they're going to do. At each step of the way, they've come up against roadblocks. We know all about those. That's history, and we know that they are, through multiple CEO or governance changes and plans afoot, to try and get things back on track. For me, if you ask me, this will be a 5-year hiatus starting from now. So I don't think they will recapture their production lines on all aircraft types, given that you've got the 777-9, which is now 6 years late for us, will be 6 years, to get the production levels back. So once they get the quality issues and the safety management systems in, on all the airframes that they have on order, airframes in there, the fixed existing airframes, the new airframes coming out of the door with new engines, be the 777, the 777-8 freighter, the various things they're doing, the high takeoff weight and the 787-10s and all that kind of thing. This is a challenge to them at the moment, given the pressures they're under. So I think one step at a time. First of all, you've got to demonstrate to the NTSB, to the FAA, to the American government that you can produce aircraft which do not have quality control issues. Can that be done? Of course it can be done. I mean, they always did, didn't they? Safety, never, or quality control wasn't something you even thought about. So we know they can do that. We know they can build and design great aeroplanes. So is it fixable? Of course it's fixable, but don't rush things. Let's just take it one step at a time. They had a meeting with the FAA on Friday, I believe, and they weren't given the full carte blanche to increase the ramp-up rate of the MAX. So you've just got to, we have an existential problem at the moment. There are a lot of contributing factors to that. We know all about that. Somebody's got to get in and sort it out. So in answer to the second question, you need a true leader. A strong person, a great communicator who understands the business. I've always said should be an aerospace engineer. It would help a lot. I've often used Alan Mullally as the example of that, but is also able to get the workforce behind him or her. And we've got a lady there, Stephanie Pope. We'll see how she gets on. But getting down, taking yourself out of Chicago, going into the factories and understanding the processes. The way we run Emirates is that we have fingerprints on everything. There's not a thing that goes on a day-to-day basis at the top without us knowing something about it. So whether it be a safety management system, whether it be product execution, whether it be product design, whatever, we look at all of it. We never take ourselves out and think, that's not my problem, let them deal with that. That's not the way I run the business anyway. So they need somebody who's hands-on, is a great communicator, great leader, and people will respect and follow because that person understands the issues. We know that in the Puget Sound area they have a dynastic workforce in terms of fixing Boeing aircraft since before the Second World War. So we know it goes on there, and one wonders how the disenfranchisement of the workforce, unions, etc., is a result of not doing the things that I've said. Bring them on side, reward them for the work that they do, produce good quality aeroplanes to the design that the clients want, us. The rest falls into place, guys. So look after your workforce, they look after you. So you don't have to go around the world trying to get cheaper bits and pieces done. That's what I would have done.